2.5 people watching.
Hey, we're live now.
Hey, Dirt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm fine, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
What you doing?
just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, nothing really.
Want to talk about comic books?
I mean, I guess we could. I mean, if that's what you want to do.
I mean, it's not like we prepared and actually read a comic book to discuss.
Can we do something before we do that, though?
Yeah, sure.
I want to open my bottle of Rye Day the 13th.
Oh, look, I have one here too.
What? That's crazy.
No!
Where'd you get yours from?
A liquor store.
Which one?
I don't know if I should go there.
Okay. Well, guys, this is, as you know, I'm a big fan of Friday the 13th, and someone sent me a picture of this bottle showing me that it's Rye Day the 13th, and I figured, this is the type of thing that I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to open this. This is from Excel Brewing Company. There you go.
9% alcohol.
9?
9. Not like no. The number
Not
9.
very much, but okay, wait.
It's barrel aged in rye barrels.
Smells weird.
Smells like victory.
It smells like the corpses of dead fornicating teenagers.
In a summer camp?
Yeah. It does kind of have there's a little bit of a fruity, but all right, here we go. Let's see if it's any good.
Cheers.
Wow, that is thick. That's like a Guinness.
Oh, thicker.
Oh, man. Whew, you could pour that on pancakes. That is...
It's kind of got a maple syrup taste to it, doesn't it?
It's frothy. It's thick. It's creamy. Like it's almost like drinking like a milkshake when it starts to melt.
Right.
And it's kind of in that weird like liquid gelatin stage.
Pretty good stuff, huh?
Wow. And it's a very it's very well, yeah, I was gonna say it's got a little bit of that bite to it that you expect from something that has a lot of brewed stuff in it. Because I like to talk the technical stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're the guy who actually brews stuff in your basement. I'm just the guy that drinks it. So like it's that spicy kind of like it's got a little bit of that burn to it.
I taste vanilla. Kind of like a vanilla. It's a bit nutty too.
I don't think I could drink a whole lot of them. Like this is a fairly big bottle.
No. These are meant to be, I mean, they're not cheap.
This was 650 milliliters. So just a little bit smaller than your 750 bottles of like rum or vodka or whatever. So, whew. Although I bet if you drank the whole thing pretty quickly, you'd get messed up.
Oh yeah, this is like drinking 4 beers. Save some for the children.
Ooh. Oh, and chocolatey. There's a little bit of a chocolatey kind of thing going on there.
Like caramel, maybe like caramel. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. That's why I like barrel aged beers. All
right, so anybody who's into like a Guinness or a oatmeal stout, maybe even a little delirium tremens, that type of stuff, then Rye Day the 13th is.
Well, it has that heat to it, but if you drink any barrel aged beers, it's going to take on the characteristics of the barrel that it's been sitting in. So this is a little different than a lot of the other barrel aged beers because it's in rye barrels. Usually they're done in just regular whiskey barrels. So yeah, it's tasty.
All right. Well, we'll see how messed up we get by the end of the show. Okay, so now that we've got our drinks here set aside, You want to talk about? We're going to talk about three things really here tonight on this particular episode. One, you want to talk about Star Trek Discovery because for some reason you still watch it, unlike everybody else. And then two, we're going to talk about Robert Kirkman's new series Oblivion song. And then three, I've got a Voltron sitting over here that I've never opened. So we're going to take a look at another new Voltron, everybody, if you can believe it. So
because we need more Voltron.
Well, yeah, but I just did an unboxing of another Voltron like last Monday. And then I did another Voltron like in December. And then I did another Voltron like maybe a year ago and another Voltron. Like I've got a dozen Voltrons sitting around my house. So yet another one to add to the collection. But what do you want to do first? You want to do the comic first? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Since we are the Comiholics taking over Pop Culture Network here. So, all right. So go ahead. Show them. You've got it sitting down there with you. Oblivion song by Robert Kirkman and what's the other name?
Lorenzo de Felici. Lorenzo de Felici. I totally butchered that.
I thought you were supposed to be good with those Mediterranean names.
That's more like Italian, I think. I could be totally off the pace there.
No, it's Italian. It's Italian. All right, so, well, I guess first of all, this was an advanced copy that was sent out mainly for retailers, but people have been reviewing it all over the internet. So we figure if there's any sort of embargo, it doesn't matter anymore. So we might as well talk about it. So this collects, I think it's the first 4 issues.
That is correct.
It doesn't actually say, but it shows the covers for 1 through 4. So I'm assuming it's just the 4.
You're correct.
But the first trade, I think, will be volumes 1 through 6. So well, first of all, I guess just the basic premise of the book is that at some point there was some sort of like interdimensional shift, and part of Earth swapped places with part of some alien parallel universe thing. So I read into it a little bit more after we talked last night. So basically, Earth and this other alien world like exist in the same plane, but they vibrate at different frequencies. So just like every time DC has had a crisis, you've had like Flash jump from one world to another, parallel worlds, whatever.
Dimensions touch.
Right. They're just right on top of each other. They exist in the same place, just they vibrate at different frequencies. And in this world, they swapped.
Right.
So,
well, they swapped 30 square miles of Philadelphia.
Right.
So brotherly love, you know.
Suddenly the city and all of its inhabitants are in this crazy
the whole
other world
of the city, like 30 square miles. The whole section just disappeared and ended up in another dimension.
And then here in our world, suddenly there was just this landscape covered in like moss and trees, and then all the vegetation ended up dying away, and now it's just a big dust bowl.
Right.
So our hero goes into the Dust Bowl area, uses this snappy device to flip over to the alien dimension where all the humans have disappeared to, and he finds them and brings them back so they can come back into the real world.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this weird like teleportation flash where it's just like electrical flash, and then there he is.
Yeah. There's like a flash. It's like a flash is what you're saying. So,
he's got this like magical belt that's kind of reminds me of like the Deadpool teleportation belt, where he can hit it and it like takes him back.
So here's the thing though with the book is that, and I don't want to do too many spoilers. I know there are some reviews out there that just lay everything out and spoil everything, and I don't want to do that since the book hasn't come out yet. I think the first issue comes out in March, so. You've got like a month before this is actually going to hit the shelves. But the hook to it is that he's driven by the fact that he's trying to find a particular person in that other world.
Right.
And he doesn't know if that person is still alive or if they're dead, or if anything has happened to him, in this alien world. He doesn't know. It's been, I think they said 10 years since the event has happened.
Right. Well, he works for a government agency that has been funding all this money for them to find a way to bring these people back, and they've failed. And then all of a sudden they started to succeed, and they're bringing back like a couple people at a time. He is.
Right.
Nathan is his name. And the government has kind of given up on the entire project because they don't think it's worth the investment. And he keeps wanting to go back. He says because he wants to bring back more people, but they're in the back of his mind, that there's somebody else out there that the reason why he wants to do it.
So, all right. So I think that's enough about giving away key points of the story. But let's talk.
Well, there's one thing I want to talk about, and it's kind of a Kirkman characteristic. He likes to present a platform. Can you hear the furnace thing? Should I turn that off?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Funny side note. So actually, I'm sitting in Comiholics, the old Comiholics HQ, while Dirt is actually in my Peninsula kitchen table because we couldn't get the feedback correct. So hopefully,
I have your phone. I have your phone.
Oh, I missed the message. So so that's the situation we're in.
Yeah, we had this weird feedback loop going on because we were not close to each other. So he ended up going downstairs just so there's a floor between us, so we can't. I can actually hear you through the floor in your living room because that's where you're sitting, but the microphone isn't picking it up, so it actually works out.
Great. I thought I was gonna have to do like a Jim Morrison and like sit in the tub and record the whole thing like LA Woman or something.
Oh, maybe we could do that for the next episode.
I'm all about it.
Pools
anyway,
and hot tubs.
Totally sidetracked there.
Okay. So Kirkman has this thing of making a platform
where he fills you with a lot of what ifs. He doesn't explain a lot. Like he'll present something that's kind of like a structure. I saw it with Walking Dead, where like he leads you to believe one thing, but that's not necessarily how it's going to happen. So the way I think things are going in this book aren't necessarily how the book's going to go. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, except in the first big
I'm trying not to give away things when I say that.
Right. But the first big twist that happens is it's foreshadowed several pages before. And from the moment it was mentioned, I said, oh, that's going to happen. Like there's this whole, well, you don't know, maybe something could be blah, 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 whatever. And as soon as they started to say that, I'm like, oh, well, obviously that's going to happen. And then it does. So the first big twist I felt really wasn't that much of a twist. It was just kind of like a given. Like, oh, well, obviously that's going to happen.
I think that's the Kirkman writing style. Sometimes he'll make you think that it's not the obvious, and it's totally the obvious. Like with Walking Dead, I knew that Glenn's time was coming. Like issues before Glenn died by Lucille's might, I knew it was going to happen. It was apparent. So I just feel like that's kind of his writing style. He likes to do that. He likes to get you comfortable. Like, oh yeah, this is predictable. I got this. I see where he's going, and then he'll throw a twist. So it's hard, in my opinion. It's hard to do a proper assessment of this story with just 4 issues. I kind of have a feeling where I think he's going with this, and I like some of the ideas he's got going. Like I like this whole bizarre dimensional switch, which is funny because we're going to be talking about that with Star Trek Discovery.
Right.
But his dimension, that's the whole new thing now. It's
but my problem was I don't think I'm going to read this when it actually comes out. Like I don't feel, after reading the first 4 issues, I don't feel like I care enough to keep reading it.
I'm not won over. I'll agree. I'm not.
Yeah. And part of the problem is we have no real reason to root for this guy. I
was about to say that you got to love the characters. If you don't love the characters,
And there's nothing. Well, okay, and there's a couple problems I think with the story. One is that there's a couple female characters that look very similar, and the story got really confusing because there's this woman who's cheating on her husband, and I thought that woman was also this guy's girlfriend.
Right.
And so it made the story like real confusing. Like, how many people is this lady sleeping around with? And then you find out they're two different people, and that could be a problem with the artwork and whatever.
You or me, I thought that was a man at first. The other female character in the other dimension with the fake leg.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that one.
I thought that was a man at first. I couldn't tell by the art it was a woman.
Well,
later I realized, oh, this is a woman.
I'm talking back on Earth. There's the doctor's wife, and then there's Nathan's girlfriend or wife or whoever, and they both look almost identical. Like, it's hard to tell. Just one has their hair up, and the other one has their hair down. And so I just thought maybe it's like, oh, well, she has it up in this scene, and then this scene is down. But that's how they tell them apart. But here's the other problem: is there's that one's having an affair. Who cares? Like, I don't care anything about her husband, so I don't feel anything for the fact that it's just like suddenly, oh, she's having dinner with another guy. Well, I didn't know she was with the first guy. Like, that's something that comes out later. So it's like you have this whole scene. Does he even know you're here? He who? Like, who are these characters? Like, I don't care.
You could have taken out those 2 pages and it wouldn't have affected the rest of the story.
And so that was just kind of stupid. But the other thing, Kirkman also has this problem where he is, like, in real life, has real personal issues with anyone that has anything to do with religion. So there's this whole scene where it's like these people are standing at this memorial that they've built for disappeared, and there's some guys like, these are the demons from hell, and you know that they had hell brought upon them, and he's gonna go get them, and that's gonna bring hell back on Earth. And it's like, oh, like, of all the cliches, it's the hillbilly preacher hell man, It's like, come on. Like, I understand you only have so many pages to work with, so you got to give something that, makes them instantly recognizable. But that character, as a cliche, is more well developed than any other character that we read in 4 issues.
Wow.
Yeah. So, not a fan. The structure of the story also, there's a decision that is made in, I believe it's the 4th issue, where one character is trying to win over another character. And so they're saying, well, just come with me and you'll see for yourself. And it's like this whole, like, oh, it's going to be 1 week and it's going to be, this and that. And then, of course, he comes back and there's a problem, and he gets and someone gets, they get separated. And so, there's a guy on his own that doesn't know, what to do or where to go or whatever. And it's like, why is this happening? Like, if all this guy wanted to do was to address a crowd and say, make up your mind one way or the other. And he could have just said that, and people could have picked one way or another. And those that wanted to go one way could go one way, and those that wanted to go the other could go the other. And they could make some sort of deal like, every 6 months I'll be back if you change your mind, just kind of pop in. Hey, how's it going? Okay, bye, and leave. And so instead it's turned into this whole,
he just kind of flops this guy on the city streets and just like,
it's like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll take care of this, I'll be back in an hour or so. It's like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. So there were I had a lot of problems with the structure of the story and the way that stuff it didn't make sense. And somewhere in his mind, I'm sure that makes sense. Oh, well, if I was going to, deal with this type of situation, this is how I'd handle it. But who would do that? Like, everyone else in the world would just be like, okay, here it is, make a decision, one or the other, let's go. Everybody else, I'll come back and ask you later.
Right.
It's not going to be like this whole rigmarole that he turned it into. So
I also have and so there's like these. So the wall with all the names on it, is that the same wall that's kind of like walled up the 30 square miles?
Yes.
Dead space? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You thought it was some other wall. You tried to figure out why.
Well, no, I knew it was a monument, and and that's the other thing. I had to kind of look back on some pages just because it didn't flow well as far as like connecting with the story, and maybe that's because there's stuff that's kind of left open for interpretation.
Well, but I wonder if part of that is also because when it comes out broken into issues, it'll be a little more clear that there's a break in the story, whereas when we're
like
reading it the way we are,
like
page, well, like from page to page. Because I wonder, there was no real note where issue 1 ended and issue 2 started. Right. So you just have to kind of guess. And there's a page that's a character reveal that you figure, okay, well, that must be the end of the first issue. But there wasn't really anything there. So that's one thing I did is I kind of flipped through and I figured the first one will have a couple extra pages because Image likes to do that, have it be a little bit bigger. And then, the follow-up issues will be back to kind of a standard, page size. So I kind of have an idea where it's going to break up. But when you're sitting down reading it as one, because that's what Kirkman does, is he writes for the trade. In his mind, he's writing for a book, and that book just happens to be chopped into these issues that get thrown out there. But it does have problems reading it as one unbroken story, that it's not really clear a lot of times how much time is passing from one page to the other, because you're reading here and then you go to this page and you don't know. It'd be 2 different issues of the comic, but here when they're collected, it's like, okay, do we just jump ahead a week, or is this the next day, or is this 2 hours later? Like what, where am I? So I don't know. I didn't think it was put together very well. And here's the other thing. There's so many books out on the market that I want to read that I don't have time to read everything I want to, that for this to come along and say, hey, pay attention to me and read me, it didn't do its job.
Also, I wasn't that thrilled with the monsters in this other universe.
Yeah, and some of the fights with those monsters weren't exactly clear, what exactly is going on. You just kind of see this big blobby thing, and you see the person, and they kind of roll around, and you kind of see part of an arm and a bunch of tentacles, and then there's like this pow, pow, pow sound, and then the monster's dead. But it's really it's 6 panels on this page of all this stuff happening, and none of it really makes a whole lot of sense of what's going on. You just see, oh, wait, hold that back up. Yeah, so these monsters are just kind of like arms and teeth and just kind of blobs of stuff. And the way those panels are broken up, you don't really get a good look at them, so you can't really tell what's going on.
Or you'll see there's a part where Nathan just barely escapes earlier on in the first or second issue, and he ends up having to stab himself with his own dart. He's got these darts that's how he gets these people back to their proper dimension. And his belt doesn't work, so he has to shoot himself in the neck with a dart. And it was right before the alien's about to swallow and chomp down on him, and then it just pans all the way back, and all you see is this the monster at the very end of the street. I agree. To me it I don't know. It's like seeing monsters in a blur. There's no real definition.
Well, it's kind of the problem I have with a lot of modern movies too, when they get into a fist fight. And the Batman movies were bad with this. The Jason Bourne movies are pretty bad with this, where it gets into a fight and you're just seeing kind of blurs of the cloth.
Right.
And you're hearing these meaty punches, but you're just kind of seeing and then there's a guy down on the ground and you're like, okay, what? How?
How do you get away? How does this work?
Right. So yeah, like I said, it didn't do its job of hooking me. After reading the 4 issues, I'm just not. I don't care really about any of the characters. There's too many dumb things that go on that just don't seem to make sense. That I just I gave up on Walking Dead. Around 120 or so.
Over a year.
Yeah, so it just gets to a point where you kind of know that he's got this rhythm of the way he does stories. And he does like to use a lot of like the cookie cutter cliche characters when he, just needs to throw something in there. And I'm not, like I said, there's so many other books out there and so many things that I want to read, and stuff that I've never gotten around to reading that I'm trying to find time for, that the idea of this book coming in there, it's just not worth it for me.
Well, it's funny because, I've kind of gotten away from reading books for a while.
Right.
And part of the reason why I wanted to do Comiholics again was because I was excited about getting back into reading comic books. So when you're like, oh, I've got this trade by Robert Kirkman, I'm like, yes. And then I read it and I'm like, And, don't get me wrong, Kirkman's entertained me for years with his, some great stuff, but I'm not that thrilled with this one either.
Yeah. So for me, that's a pass.
Pass.
I think there are people who they don't read comics as regularly and they'll be fine with it. They're not looking to get as invested in characters. They're probably going to buy it in the trades, so they need things to be a little more, I don't want to say bland necessarily, but when you're waiting 6 months to read the next part of the story, you're not looking for the same type of character development and embellishments that people look for who are reading, stuff every week, going to the store. So,
it's
for me,
definitely it's not a book that I would be, like you said, that I would be excited to like, oh, I can't wait till the next issue comes out next week.
Yeah, because that's even when I was reading this trade at one point, like I found myself just kind of skimming through it, just kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah. And there's no, stop, slow down, go back,
right?
Read all the word balloons, don't, because it even got to a point where I just kind of lost interest, and I still had to finish it for the show. So, all right, hold it up one more time so everybody can see it. So this is Oblivion Song, Robert Kirkman's new comic from Image, and it's a pass. Pass from me, pass from you.
Boy, that's a short review.
I mean, you say what you got to say. Not everything has to be a half hour,
Right.
All right. So let's talk then about you. You want to talk about Star Trek for whatever reason.
Okay. So unless you've been under a rock, you know that Star Trek Discovery came out on CBS. So last early fall, I think. I don't remember exactly. They split it up into 6 episodes, and then mid-season break, and then another 6 episodes. It is a wonderful show, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed it. Dirt is not a fan. He's only watched 1 episode, though. So
I didn't even watch the whole episode. I couldn't get through it.
You couldn't get past the Sarek part, right? Wasn't that your problem?
I had a lot of problems.
Okay.
I had a lot of problems in that show. From just the general ineptitude of Michael, what's her name, to the whole it's a prequel series, but they have like holograms.
All right, well, let's stop there. Let's give a little background. So this is 10 years before the original series. So
wait, is this the original timeline, or is this the Kelvin universe?
No, this is in fact the original timeline. In fact, we'll get to it, but at the very last episode of the season, we see the Enterprise, and we hear a distress call from Captain Pike.
And did they show the Enterprise?
Yes, they do. Let me pull it up. We're jumping ahead a little bit, but
okay. Well, don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead then.
Okay.
You talk about what you want to talk about with this awful show.
Thanks. That's a great send-off. So, several reasons why I like Discovery is, one, first of all, if you're a Star Trek fan, we're all kind of just starving for some a series. We haven't had a series in forever. What was the last series? Enterprise.
Enterprise, yeah, and it was terrible also.
Absolutely terrible. Not also. If I had to hear that intro music one more time, I was going to bury my head in the sand and never come out. With Discovery, I think that they tried to do a clean revamp to how they're approaching a Star Trek series. For example, in this Star Trek series, the story is not centered around a captain. It's centered around a character that starts out as a first officer. And it's Michael Burnham. Michael Burnham, and this is the problem that Dirt has, is the adopted daughter of Sarek, and this coincides with the same universe, same timeline as Spock. So Spock still
makes no sense if this is supposed to be the same universe. That there's this character just being retconned right into the middle of it that you've never seen or heard of before, but was there before the beginning and is there at the same time.
But I think it's a matter of perspective of the timeline that we're talking about here, though, because this is 10 years in the past.
But why wouldn't Spock have ever mentioned the fact that he had another adopted sibling?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get to that. So
no, it's because it doesn't make sense.
Well, you got to let things unfold. I mean, in order for them to explain how this is inserted into that universe, I mean, you have to build the characters. You have to.
But the only way it makes sense is if like something happens and they go back in time and they wipe themselves out of existence.
Dirt, stop. Hold that thought, okay? I'm never going to get through this if you don't let that.
Okay, I'm going to.
So Michael Burnham is on the Starship Shinzo, and the captain is what's her name? I lost it.
Bluebeard.
Lost it in my notes.
Blackbeard.
Philippa Giorgio, I think is how you say it. Anyways, so she's the first officer. They've been together for several years on the Shinzo, and which is an unusual way to start a show that's called Star Trek Discovery when you don't even see Discovery until like the second or third episode. It's all about the Shinzo. The Shinzo is a press call for a Federation communication relay. They go to check it out. There's a big hole in it. I'm trying to shorten this a little bit. They run into a bizarre Klingon ship, an old Klingon ship. And we also have to remember in this timeline, the Federation and the Klingons are on the verge of war. I mean, it's like teetering on peace. They go to investigate this relay, and then they notice there's something else out there in this asteroid field. Burnham goes to inspect it, finds this ship, has a fight with a Klingon, which is this really cool scene where she's like in a spacesuit, and he's in a spacesuit, and they have this hand-to-hand combat on top of the ship. She kills him, barely manages to get away, and basically starts the war with the Klingons. Right before the battle's about to begin, because of Michael Burnham's past, because she was on a colony that was attacked by Klingons. That's where Sarek found her and rescued her. She understands that the only thing Klingons understand is offensive combat. And the only way that you're ever going to earn respect from them is if you attack first.
Is this all the first episode?
First couple episodes.
Okay. Go faster.
Okay. Well, there's only 12. So that's kind of the beginning of the first story arc, is that whole development. Long story short, Klingons attack, show up with a bunch of Klingon battleships, battle cruisers. Federation shows up with a bunch of ships. Really cool fight scene between the Federation ships and the Klingon battle cruisers. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really cool representation, because what you're looking at is the same kind of, well, here's a model that's not quite finished.
Ooh. Did you just drop your model?
I didn't drop it. So here's like an old battle cruiser. For this would be Undiscovered Country around that
Why
era.
is it orange and blue?
Oh, we're still painting it. So I can get out some older stuff. Okay, here we go.
No. Come on. Okay. All right. But
So I thought that was a really interesting perspective of like how they kind of made things still look really modern and with the times, but yet you could tell it's not.
So it looked like that style of battle cruiser.
It's kind of a mix. They kind of like cross that with what you might have seen at the beginning of the original series. If that makes sense. Let me show you some stuff here.
So basically what I'm hearing from you is like the story is pretty good because it's not like a regular Star Trek series, but it has these really cool outer space.
I'm saying is that it's pretty good because they did a really good job of trying to combine the way they were presenting Star Trek with all the great technology that we have now with graphics and design and kind of this nice mix. So this is Discovery. I don't know if I can pull this up.
You have to do the screen share.
Okay. How do I do the screen share?
It's if you move your mouse over to the left-hand side, there's a little green TV with the arrow.
Okay.
And you click application window and you click on the.
Okay. We're getting there.
It's the first time you've done this, so we'll see if.
I know we're application.
Best case scenario is you disconnect from the chat and the show's over.
So application window, and then where do I go?
You click on the one that shows the picture. You have to open the picture first, so it's open, and then share it. That's me. Hi. I'm showing up on your screen.
All right. Well, hold on, folks. We're gonna get this. Don't have to open my file folder first and pull it up?
Yes, that's what I said. You got to open the picture first and then share it.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Well,
right.
Now we can see what it's like for my video to go through his video to come back to my video to go out. So that's me looping. Wow, that ceiling fan looks crazy. Because it's like a double strobe effect, so it's like slowly moving.
Right, screen share. Come on, I'm trying to screen share right now.
You turned off your screen share. Okay, well, okay. Let me talk while you're figuring that out. I'll keep working on it. I'm going to talk about some of the problems I had with it, but one was the fact that it's such and if I use the term, I know the term is loaded, but the term came from Star Trek. So it's apropos here to say that it's a Mary Sue to bring this character who's the highlight of the show, this brand new character, but then say, oh, but she's Sarek's adopted daughter and Spock's sister, which makes absolutely no sense. There's no history of. It's a total retcon to just suddenly throw this character up there, but say, oh, well, she's been there all along. And it's like, well, no, like, obviously not. That's not how this works. And to me, that was like just kind of one of the dumbest things, because you're thinking about the history of Star Trek, all the times that we've seen Spock, even beyond the original series. He was in Next Generation. He made all these later appearances. And it's never come up that he's had this sister. So unless there was some sort of like time wipe thing, but at the same time, Sarek is totally out of character in this first episode.
Why is he? That's the part I'm struggling with. Why do you think he was totally out of character?
Because one of the things that was Sarek's Vulcan logic was that vengeance is not logical. Like revenge is not logical. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's only an emotional response.
In the Discovery, and you didn't even finish the first episode. So, where was he vengeful?
I probably skipped ahead and watched something from episode 2 or whatever. But he tells her to attack the Klingons, or she's got to get back at the Klingons.
He just has a logical understanding that the only thing, and that's what I was getting at earlier, is that the only thing the Klingons understand is battle.
But it's not battle, it's vengeance. She's getting revenge.
Maybe that's her motive, but that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is the only way that they're going to respond is if you attack first.
Well, I'm gonna have to. Well, no, I'm not going to. I'm gonna say I should go back and rewatch that and relook it up, but I'm not gonna. Let's face it, I won't do that because I cannot stand this show. But there's other things. Like for instance, the hologram technology. Okay, so maybe the hologram technology is just on this one ship. Or it's only a couple places. Maybe it's something that's like cutting edge that they're just kind of testing out, whatever. And so that's why you never see it anywhere else. Never comes up again. It's never seen anywhere else in Star Trek. They're just kind of playing with it here, but then maybe they lose the technology or the ship that has it blows up or whatever. Fine. But here's the problem I had with it. Sarek is talking, and he's a hologram, and he's in the room. And he's walking around, and they're talking to each other.
Up against the counter, right?
Yeah, and he walks over to this console, and he just leans up against it, as if does he have that exact same room in his house? How does this work? Do they all have the exact same setup and furniture? Like everybody just shops at the same IKEA, and they only have 4 pieces. So he's leaning on the same because he's got to lean on the exact same thing at the same height, at the same angle in order for, and it's got to be the same distance away.
Minor details.
It just shows the lack of thought that went into this, the lack of thinking things through, of it being this immersive world. They've gotten rid of a lot of that care that went into putting this together and piecing it together and having it make sense.
Let's back up just a little bit, Dirt. So, even in the original series, they never explained how warp drive works. Other than they had these crystals called dilithium crystals that they used to help them go warp speed. That's all we know.
Okay.
There's a lot of unexplained things in the original series where that's not the point. And I think that's
but it's not like they said here,
that's not the point.
I'm going to show you this crystal here. It's not like they said I have a hologram of this crystal, let me set it down on the table in front of you. And because they happen to have a table at the same place, the same height, the same location away from them to set it down on. I mean, he's leaning up against this thing.
Well, maybe it's a technology where the hologram, as you are a hologram, it's almost like a teleportation where you kind of exist.
So now it's like a holodeck. So now they have, it's not just a hologram, it's a hologram holodeck.
Real-time holodeck.
So it recreates the room that the hologram is. So for him, on his side, he's seeing the hologram
for you.
Of the whole room, huh?
I just explained it for you. So moving along, first couple episodes are about the Klingon battle. Let's fast forward here. Federation actually ends up winning because at the very end, they implant a bomb on this main battle cruiser, the original battleship that kind of started all of this. Because this main battle cruiser, this ancient battle cruiser that has been restored, and what's really eerie about this battle cruiser is all of the dead Klingon soldiers have been entombed in coffins and fastened to the hull of the ship. So the whole ship is like a shrine or a graveyard to all these dead Klingons. They attack it explodes. Basically, the Klingons lose this battle. Michael Burnham is held up for treason because she tried to stop Philippa, the captain, from making a bad decision and not attacking Klingons first. So she's basically up for treason for being mutinous. As she's being sent off, she ends up on the Discovery. The captain of the Discovery who we learn later is a lot more complex than we think of a character. Man, there's so much going on. Fast forward.
All right, wait, simplify it down.
There are several. Hold on, I know there are several issues in this comic that this show. Friday the 13th.
Indeed.
That have a mirror universe, just like in the original series, where Discovery is, as they're trying to do, which I haven't gotten to yet, the spore drive, they end up in another dimension.
All right, so why do they have the spore drive? Like, what's the point of it?
So this is one really cool aspect of the Discovery. The Discovery is basically an experimental ship that the Federation has created to try to find a way to defeat the Klingons. It's much more than a science ship. It's also like a souped-up battleship.
So how do they think this is going to help them defeat Klingons?
Because the spore drive has the ability to almost like fold space. So it's kind of like the upside down.
But why do they think that's going to help them defeat Klingons?
Because it can go wherever, whenever it wants. It can end up, at one point it actually ends up in the heart of Kronos. And I'm way fast forwarding to the very end of the whole season, and plants a bomb in the middle of the caves of...
Well, we don't have to talk about everything linearly. I mean, we can talk about different aspects all the way through.
So let's talk about the spore drive. So it's an organic propulsion system. Using quantum mechanics of propulsion, here's the words. Using prototaxites, Stella viatori fungus, which translates into prehistoric fungus star traveler. And the philosophy behind this is, the science behind it is, these spores, this fungus, exists throughout the entire universe, like a network. And it branches out through the entire universe. And if you are able to tap into this, you can kind of like fold space. So like, here I'm going to use an example of the original series Enterprise here, because I don't have a Discovery model, because they don't have one. Because if they would have one, I would have already built it.
Well, why don't you make your own?
Not that talented. So on the Discovery, the saucer, it actually like spins. They go to like code, they call it code black. And the saucer spins, and it actually, like, how do I explain the spore drive? So whatever is happening in this part of the universe, when it attaches into the spore drive, it's almost like reverses and flips into whatever space it's going into, because whatever atomic direction the spaceship is in this space, when it goes into the other portion of the spore system, it kind of flips. It flips into that space. So it's like an interstellar time and space.
Okay, so I saw the clip, like after you said you wanted to talk about this, so I watched the clip where the saucer section starts to spin, it spins, and then it like flips, and then it's like, psh, and then it's in this new spot. So it like teleports wherever, to wherever it's going to go.
It's basically like a transportation system through a network of spores that can be presented anywhere in the universe. Like a quantum entanglement, they call it.
So why do they have the spinning saucer?
I was trying to comprehend it myself, because
are there supposed to be people like inside it while it's spinning? Like, is this ring just like part of the engine that's stuck on there?
Well, I think it has to do with how molecularly how it switches, because it's like to occupy one space. Basically, it's destroying itself in one space and appearing in another space.
Well, okay, but here's the thing: like, the past Star Trek, are they so much better with gravity that it's spinning and the people inside are just kind of like, oh, I guess we're spinning now, or are there people on the inside like, whoa, this thing's like going around?
No, it's like when it goes code black, like everything turns, they turn on the black lights and we know that it's code black. Like the whole starship knows that they're about to go into code black. And it actually ends up being a very efficient fighting tool for Discovery and the Federation because they can appear wherever they want and just kind of plop in and attack.
So what happens if you're on the toilet taking a dump right at the moment that the thing starts spinning?
It swirls the other direction. Or
is it like that episode of Jackass where the guys in the porta potty
check up the porta potty? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first 4 or 5 episodes are basically explaining quantum entanglement and how they have this. And the thing is, you have to have like a pilot or a catalyst to enter the spore drive. They find this alien that exists within these spores and is like a spore harvester. And they use it and they figure out how to use it to manipulate how they navigate through the system. So they hook this alien up to this machine. They tell the alien where they want to go. The alien takes them there.
So how did they use it before they...
But hold on, let me finish. So then they start to realize that it's really taxing on the alien. Like it's sucking the life force out of this alien. And they realize that it's just not going to work. But then they also... And also trying to figure out where they need to go and getting it to go where they want it to go. So the ultimate solution is to be able to have a human be able to be hooked up to the machine and tell them where they want to go.
Okay, so how did they use it before they found this alien?
They didn't. It was still an experiment. They were still trying to figure it out.
So they built a ship with an engine.
They got a hold of some alien technology. That's the other part that I didn't get to. And I apologize, but I don't remember how they got it, but they explain it. They're able to get a hold of it. I think they steal it from the Klingons or some other race. And they get a hold of this experimental technology, but they don't quite know how to use it all. Like they've got the machine to hook up the person or alien to. They've got the sport. I mean, they take it all and they put it on Discovery, and they're basically trying to figure out how it works.
Okay.
So the other like 2/3.
So I know at one point they flipped into the mirror
universe. So get back into the mirror universe part. A lot like the original series, Discovery gets sucked into another universe, and in this universe, the Federation isn't the Federation. It's called the Terran Empire, and they're up to no good. And in fact, the Klingons and the other races are fighting for their lives against the Terran Empire, which is this, dictatorial, full of genocide and atrocities, and all they want to do is just wipe everybody out. And in this universe, the characters have changed. So just like in the original series, a lot of the characters from the original timeline of Discovery, their characters in the alternate universe are very bad people.
Okay, so does this fall into the same Star Trek trap then, where they run into themselves in the mirror universe? It just so happens that the ship that can fly anywhere in space just happens to be at the same spot that the mirror universe version of themselves happens to be at?
Similar, but not quite. They don't actually run into themselves because some of the characters in the original universe have died at this point. So, like Philippa, who is the captain of the Shinzo, died in the correct time, in the correct universe, whereas Philippa in the alternate universe is the Terran Emperor.
Oh, so she's the Emperor.
Yes.
So the
Emperor.
random character never seen before.
No, she's in like the first couple episodes. She's
Well, I know, but not before this series.
which is a critical part of this because Michael Burnham had a relationship with her. She was her number one for like 5 years on the Shenzhou.
I know, but what I'm getting at is the fact that it's not like we introduce these new characters and they find the alternate versions of themselves, and they're like on a space station, or only one of them happens to be in this quadrant, and all the others had different lives that took them to other places. Like Star Trek always has this problem with the mirror universe where it's like, hey, there are these 5 people, and they go into this alternate universe, and the same 5 versions of them happen to be in the same place that they went to. But then even here, like a random character that was just created for the show, like 3 episodes, 4 episodes before, whatever, is suddenly the emperor of the galactic empire in the mirror universe.
Yeah, but you're paraphrasing it a little too much. There's a lot more character build that you miss in there. That
doesn't matter to me though, because
you didn't give it a chance.
Well, no, because that doesn't matter in the long run. It doesn't matter how well you build the characters if the structure of the story that they're in is no good.
I disagree. Okay, so, all right. Let's talk about some stuff we can both complain about together.
Well, okay, wait. The one last thing though is that you said it.
So when I go to
what?
Well, I'm trying to share these pictures, and I go to application window, and all it does is show me my file, and then I go there, and like, can you see this? Vogue?
No.
See, you should give me a tutorial on this.
Okay, wait, stop. Oh, I was gonna say, open that folder back up.
Okay, well, open the folder back up.
Show the folder.
Okay. Showing the folder. I'm gonna go to
screen share it. Share the picture.
Okay.
The screen.
Okay. Go to application window.
Yeah.
Show the folder. Can you see the folder?
Yes. Okay. Now, go to view up in your toolbar.
Okay.
And change it to like extra big, extra large icons.
Okay.
All right. So we can get a pretty good look at them.
Okay. So one thing that we can both kind of agree on a little bit is the Klingons. Can I blow this up? Will that...
No. Just leave it like that. Don't do anything else. Just leave it like that.
Obviously, a completely it's different approach to how the Klingons look.
Right.
It's an exaggerated version of what we've seen. Obviously, definitely from the original series, where it was just people painted in dark paint with little alteration.
Yeah, with just bad eyebrows,
basically. Goatees and mustaches. To like, Next Generation, Worf, we've got a little bit more facial features, and obviously the movies brought out a little bit more detail. But these look a lot more alien than what we're used to seeing with Klingons.
What I liked in Next Generation when they showed well, I guess it started in the movies and it followed through the Next Generation. When they showed them and they had the larger foreheads and everything, they were actually wearing armor. Like it looked like battle armor.
Well, they're wearing armor here. Oh, I can't pull up these pictures, can I?
Right. No, but I could get a pretty good look at it there. But it looked like functional fighting armor that they were wearing, whereas these look more costumey. You know what I mean?
And here's that's beyond.
But what I mean is every Klingon, when they put on the gray armor, it looked like chainmail. It looked like armor. It looked like if the ship were to crash and they got into hand-to-hand combat, they were wearing armor for hand-to-hand combat, even though they were in a spaceship flying through outer space.
Well, I think they accomplished that. I think these look like maybe a little bit more elaborate armor. It's definitely armor.
To me, they look too much like in the movie 300 when you have the
The Persians.
Yeah, the Persians. To me, it looks too much like that.
Fast forward quite a bit. Something I'm very excited about at the very last episode of the season, when everything seems to be resolved, the Klingons have been subdued, and they're hurling off into space. They get a distress call from the Enterprise,
and that's the Enterprise there.
And it's from Commander Pike, which obviously we know because this takes place 10 years before the original series. And I wish I could blow this picture up.
Yeah, I mean, I can look at it. I can get a pretty good look at it there. It looks like the J.J. Abrams universe.
It looks like a mix between that and the original series, in my opinion. Like the nacelles, they're more rounded off.
Well, but it looks like the precursor to the one we see in the J.J. Abrams movie.
The nacelles are more rounded off, a lot like it's almost like they kind of tacked on a little bit more armor and body to it. But I don't know. It's kind of similar to the original series. And I agree. It's kind of like a mix between J.J. Abrams and this.
But see, the thing is that what I like about that, the one you're holding in your hand, it does look more like. Here, wait, hold it back up. It does look more like a naval ship. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it has a funky shape, but it looks more like if you take a submarine or a warship, it has that kind of warship gray, look to it. Whereas the new ships have more of a race car look to it. And there's something more. This looks more utilitarian, and it looks more military. Whereas the new ones look more like Formula One race cars.
You also have to remember, I think that Federation in this timeline is also at war. The principle.
Technically, they were still at war with the Klingons in the original series.
As we find out at the very end of this season, the moral principles of trying to be a culture based on more science and peace comes back around a little bit, because they're faced with a consequence of basically where when they were in that alternate universe and they get back to their original universe, they take with them the Philippa Empress. Michael Burnham, right at the very end, right as she's about to be teleported back to Discovery, grabs her, and they both get teleported back to Discovery, and then they hit the spore drive and flip back to their own universe. And now, in a universe where Philippa is dead, they have the Philippa from the other universe.
They have the evil Empress who wants to kill everybody.
But she's actually the right person to have at the time, because in her universe, she was very good at killing Klingons. So the Federation decides, and this is the part I struggle with. All of a sudden, the Federation decides to just hand over to the Discovery to her as captain. And they go, okay, you know how to kill Klingons. You figure it out. And her plan is to plant a bomb in the heart of Kronos and just blow up Kronos.
Do they follow through on the plan? Do they blow up Kronos?
They don't follow through the plan. And that's where the whole moral principle of the Federation comes back around, where Michael Burnham basically convinces the crew of Discovery, this is not the right decision. This is not how the Federation behaves. We are not genocidal killers. Now, I'm not doing it as much justice because we're not actually watching the show. So I know you're just like, oh, God, this is just way too far.
I'd rather watch Westworld.
Okay.
I mean, look, like I understand, like what you said at the beginning. I totally understand when you say it's been so long since we've had a series, but I would rather go on YouTube and watch that. What is it, like the series continues or whatever it was, where they had a bunch of lookalike actors and recreations of the sets, and they came up with original scripts. Like, to me, I'd rather watch 10 more years of those wannabes as fill-ins than anything that I saw in this show.
Let me ask you something here, Dirt. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. So would you say that the Next Generation first season was a good season?
If your argument is that this first season isn't good...
No, hold on. Just answer the question. Was the Next Generation first season a good season?
As a product of its time?
You don't want to say it because you know it and I know it.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference, though. That was something new. That they hadn't.
What is Discovery? It's something new. They're trying.
No, it's not. No, it's not because you had Next Generation, and then you had Deep Space Nine, and then you had Voyager, and then you had Enterprise.
Deep Space Nine. That first season was horrible too.
Nah, it was pretty good.
Oh, whatever.
But here's the point. Here's the point, though, is that they have all of that to work with and build upon, and instead they go back, which was a mistake with Enterprise to go back. They go back even further, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't fit unless they're in a different universe, unless they go and meet this Pike and it's a completely different Pike, and they do their little flippy thing, and then they like blue screen them into The Trouble with Tribbles, so that you see actual William Shatner from 50 years ago walking by, and then they go, "Oh my gosh, this is a whole different universe, and all the technology looks different."
The only way that they can make a Star Trek universe exist on television before the original series is if they take the same technology they had in 1967, where they're just inserting cards into a slot and flipping buttons up and down.
Don't go back to the past. That's the easiest answer.
My point is technology. We understand technology would not be like that. If we
but my point is, if you're gonna make a new Star Trek series, go 75 years beyond Next Generation.
Because it makes more sense because of the technology?
Because you're going into someplace new. You're not going to corner yourself into these bad writing blocks that they keep running into every time they try to go. Because there was the problem with Enterprise, and it's the problem here. You're going to make a new series, go out there, or just straight up say it's a parallel universe. Do the J.J. Abrams. We're going to go back in time, but we changed the timeline, so now everything looks and acts different.
Okay, well, one argument that I understand, to introduce Discovery into the original series canon, there's going to have to be an understanding that the technology that they're using for the special effects of the show are going to be better than the original series.
Okay, but Deep Space Nine did an episode where they went back in time and they were on the starbase from Trouble with Tribbles, and they blue screened in Cisco, standing in the line of cadets or whatever, and William Shatner is walking through in his green admiral uniform, doing the rundown of everybody, and it fit. They were in. They rebuilt part of the bridge, they rebuilt part of the thing, and they blue screened in, and they did this computer technology so that they were in the set from the original series. And it worked. It was brilliant. It looked great. So if you're going to go back, then at least do it right. If you say that looks stupid, it looks crazy, it looks like a TV set from the 1960s, then go forward. Go somewhere else. Do something different than trying to go back and mine the same mines that you've done before, but now everything looks different because it doesn't fit anymore. Well,
another criticism that I'll take into consideration is there's some eye-rolling moments to the show. I mean, there's this whole scene where when they're on Kronos and they go to basically a strip club.
Okay.
It's kind of like an eye-rolling moment where you're like, really? Is this going on right now? where's this going? It didn't even have to exist. I mean,
okay, so this is on CBS On Demand. So since it's on demand and not actually on the network, do they show like boobies or anything in this?
Kind of, G-string type materials,
But it's not like HBO.
No,
it's not like Game of Thrones or anything like that.
I wouldn't let my 12-year-old watch it. At least that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, now all of a sudden, Dirt's interested.
No. I'm just saying.
Really?
No, I'm just saying that's because that, again, Star Trek. Like, I remember when Next Generation was on, we had the big TV in the living room, or you had the tiny TV in the kitchen. So I would turn on the big TV in the living room and sit on the living room floor, and my dad would be in the easy chair, reading the newspaper, and we're watching Star Trek because it was fine as like a family thing for everybody to watch. And so now the fact that it's this sleazy, I don't know how you want to classify it, but that that's, again, for me, that's another.
I didn't really understand why they even included that portion of it, to be honest with you. They could have done without that. So, I mean, that's some negative criticism on my half of this. But some positives. I like the plot twists. I think they've done a really good job with some really good cliffhangers. There's a character, his name is Ash Tyler, and he's basically a prisoner on a Klingon prison somewhere.
Okay.
And at one point, this Klingon leader, Voq, is somehow psychically imprinted into him, almost physically. Like, they did like a surgical process where basically Voq is part of Ash Tyler, who infiltrates the Discovery and befriends Michael Burnham. I thought that was a really cool part, a really cool twist, how that all worked out. I thought that Michael Burnham's character was very dynamic and was a character that I enjoyed watching her develop and become, because she changes a lot in this show. Like, she's not the same character she was in the first episode. There's also some characters you kind of fall in love with. Sylvia Tilly is this like kind of bubbly redheaded girl that's kind of like the comic relief. Everything's always very serious, but she's always kind of got like this awkward. She's not like lean and slim like Michael Burnham. She's kind of a bigger girl.
Wait, is she like the nerd girl? Is she like the fan girl type thing?
Yeah. And I like that. It's just like a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more. Saru is this alien that we haven't seen before in the original series or anything else, where he's this species called a Kelpian, where
he's the guy with the big.
Yeah.
That's the guy who played Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movies.
Okay. Well, I like his acting. He does a great job. He's probably one of my favorite characters. And actually, through several episodes, he's actually captain of the Discovery because of all this other crap that's going on. With the Kelpian species, they were a tormented, tortured slave race. And one of their characteristics is when they sense danger, these like tentacle things, kind of like the hair on the back of your neck, like spring up. Like when they sense danger, because they're constantly a species that has lived in fear. So it's just kind of like this like adaptive.
So it's like spider sense?
Yeah. So he has this like ability to like sense fear or danger. But he's also very logical, like a Vulcan, So I thought he's a really interesting character. I just think there's a lot of really cool characters in the show that kind of make you like want to keep watching the next episode and want to know where these characters are going. And there's a lot of tension between like Saru and Michael Burnham. I like the show. And I like the art. I like the graphics. I like the art. I like what they've I like that it's a different twist on it, you know? And maybe I'm not as cynical because it doesn't appear to exist in the same universe that we are comfortable with the original series. But I've also decided to accept that, yes, the technology doesn't look like the original series. Yes, the walls don't look like that gray wall with a bunch of like blue and black and purple buttons painted on it, you know, with like these big boxes. You know, I mean, it just looked like a bunch of cardboard boxes set up in a set.
Let me ask you this, though. Did you like Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah. I did.
I did not. Like, to me, that was the worst Star Trek movie since 5. So I'm at a point.
What does that have to do with this?
Well, because one of the things that you were talking about was how, like, you really want there to be more Star Trek. But for me, after seeing that movie, I want there to be good Star Trek. And I don't consider that movie good, and I don't consider this series good. I'd rather
not have anything.
Yes, exactly. I'd rather have nothing than have what they're giving us. So that's why I'm not watching it, and I'm not enthusiastic for it. I gave up on the comics. I don't even read the comics anymore. After Star Trek Beyond, I was like, there's very little for me here. And then with Discovery, watching that first episode, I was like, there's no, like, I'm done for now. Like, I'm waiting for the franchise to die off and reboot again down the line.
Well, I know we're both really big Star Trek fans, so it hurts me to hear you say this because I really love this show, and I think it has it's got a great story. And
I'd rather watch Deep Space Nine all the way through again on Netflix.
I already watched Deep Space Nine all the way through.
But no, what I'm saying is I'd rather watch that all the way through on Netflix again than give this series my time.
And my point is I've already seen those 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so have I. I watched them when they were live. I used to videotape them and watch them over and over again.
Dude.
But my point is, I'd rather watch them again than give this series my time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun show. I like the technology. I like everything about it.
All right, well, we've spent too much time on that.
Okay.
It's time to get down to something else. I'm about to put a whole bunch of garbage in your kitchen, just so you understand this. I have this case that I've cut it open and I took out the cardboard right now.
You have one of those?
But I haven't actually opened these figures. This is the Voltron Diecast Set based off the new Netflix series. There's that Friday the 13th coming through. So this is the new Netflix version of Voltron, but they made these diecast versions of all the lions that attach together. I haven't opened this up. I haven't taken a look at this. I haven't watched any videos on it or anything. It's just one of those things where I said, hey, another Voltron, I better buy that because that's what I do. That's my lot in life. So taking a look here, this is an 8-inch Voltron is what it forms. So it's not huge. It's not gigantic.
So is it all 5 pieces make one big Voltron?
Exactly, yes.
The Voltron?
So this right here is the Black Lion. He will turn into the Black Lion, but then he also becomes the body of the big set. So we've got the set here. So here's the Red Lion, part of the sword.
So it's made by Playmate?
Playmates, yes.
Yeah.
And so there's really good. The shield. Here is Blue Lion. You can see there.
Now this is the unfair part because now I want to go upstairs and go play with these. And I have to watch it like everybody else.
The Yellow Lion. So the main thing that stands out when you look at these, okay, so this is the diecast. There's a plastic version of these out, but this is the diecast one. So the main parts of the body are diecast metal, like the old Matchbox line from the early 80s. And when you look at the package, the main thing that's different is that you can see there's the inlay inside has that shiny metallic
I like
sheen to it. So that's the main thing that tells you the difference. It's also, you can see here, metal defender. Yeah, with the little metallic shine on it. So you know that it's part. And then, of course, die-cast metal up there at the top. So you'll know. So let's start here. I'm going to start with the Black Lion here. And here's, so you got some artwork on the side. So there's the Black Lion coming through there.
It's very 80s, too.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the new Netflix cartoon?
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it.
Okay, yeah. So this is the new version of Voltron. You can see his head there, so you know that he's the new one. They also have another series that says Voltron 84, which is the classic. They've re-released the classic lines, and that's the one I took a look at last week. So here, okay. So let's rip this guy open here. And garbage. And so, so his little wing attachments here are stuck.
Are they all like taped down?
Well, they've got these clear plastic twist tie things. And if you
pull the wire, wire.
If you pull just right, you can usually get them out without. But like every so often, like here, there's one right on his midsection, so you got to pull that out. All right. So here we've got the lion. That becomes the main part of the body.
You're making a mess in my kitchen, aren't you?
Well, yeah, because it's not my house. If you think I'm cleaning this up later, you're crazy, by the way. Let's see here. So we're going to take this off, pull off. If I can get... Here, like, this is the part that sucks. These here are like clear rubber bands.
Bendy things.
Yeah. So it's like you can't just snap it and break it off because it stretches and grows, and it goes around the body like 3 times here. All right. So taking a look here at the lion, you can see that it looks like part of the Voltron body here, but I'm going to flip it into...
Wow, look at those claws. Great detail.
Here,
yeah.
You can see.
I like the style, too. It's very much like what I remember when we were kids. Maybe a little bit more streamlined. You know?
Well, the new cartoon, it kind of has an anime look to it, a little more modern anime look to it. Although the original one had an old style anime look to it. But you can see there he is as the lion.
Wow! So it's got a posable mouth, posable legs. Everything's moving.
Yeah. So let's see. There's no
tail move.
There's no twist, so you can't twist the mix. But looking at it, like, okay, so here's the thing. This is the die-cast metal line. So this right here,
this is not all metal.
But this is plastic. So these parts of the legs are plastic. All of these back legs are plastic. The tail's plastic. The head, I think the head is also plastic. So it's really just the main part of the body here that's metal. And you can see it's got these giant holes.
Black Lion was always my favorite.
Your wings go in here. Oh, did I do that backwards? Oh, man. How does this work? Did I just do this wrong?
Oh.
I don't know what I did. What did I do?
Should be able to come out.
No, that's right. That's right.
All right. Friday the 15th is getting to me. So while you're messing with that, I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay. So you deal with that. I'm going to open some more of these here. Let's start with the legs. So here's the yellow lion. And we're going to rip him open. Oh, and there are instructions here, which I tossed the other ones down on the ground when I was ripping it open. So I totally lost those. But you can see that this is going to show you just the basic how to fold it and how it connects together. So nothing too crazy, though. If you've done a Voltron, you're familiar with most of the look here. And we're going to take out this middle guy. Maybe. There we go. And, oh man, this has got like 5 of these clear plastic twist ties on it. And these are a pain because they want to hold that plastic shape. So it's not like regular twist ties where once you kind of fold them, they fold out of the way. These, you twist them out of the way, and they're still like stuck in the spot.
I don't understand what purpose they serve. Is it holding it into the?
Yeah, it just holds it in so that when it's in shipping,
Doesn't pop out.
it doesn't come loose. So when it's in the store, it looks nice. So it looks pretty in the store, but it doesn't really serve any practical purpose as far as
dirt. Which makes me happy.
What, you like seeing me get frustrated with these things? Yeah, well, you Star Trek fans would say that.
Yeah, whatever. So do you still like the Friday the 13th now that you've almost finished your bottle?
I do, but I don't think I could drink more than, one in a night.
Barrel-aged beer is not something you drink all night. It's something that, like...
Yeah, but I can drink barrel-aged whiskey all night.
Speaking of, I should come upstairs and we should open up that Weller.
All right, so here we've got the yellow lion. And again, the jaw moves here. The head can move around, so you can pose him in different poses. You've got the arms that move. The tail is plastic, so it moves around. So it's a nice-looking guy. But again, the only thing that's metal here is the main body and this plastic part. This is plastic on top. So, and there's someone walking through this room all of a sudden. Where did you come from, buddy? Let's open up the blue lion.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we weren't lying when we said we were in the same house here. This is like MTV's The Real World.
Get out of my room!
He just stuck his finger in the peanut butter and ate it right out of the jar.
He did it right in front of me, too.
And again, with the twist ties. Always take forever. You don't have any like wire cutters or anything, do you?
This evening is brought to you by Weller.
Like Peter Weller, the guy who played RoboCop?
No. Oh, Weller whiskey.
Weller whiskey, like the guy who played RoboCop?
Yes.
Hey, where'd you buy that Weller whiskey at?
At a really nice local liquor store.
But,
I don't know if I should like.
All right, so now here's the thing. I took out 3 of those twist ties. These other 2 things holding it in place are these. See those plastic, like what hold the tags on your clothes?
Oh.
They're those plastic T-bar things. Get rid of that. And this one, the blue, I don't know, blue feels a little smaller than yellow, actually. But I guess I should hold them up to the camera instead of down here where you can't see them. So here, up here, blue. I guess they're about the same, but I guess it's the big.
Are they the legs?
Yeah, these are the legs of Voltron.
Well, you'd think they'd be the same length.
No, I meant like body-wise,
like
thickness of the body. But I guess it's just this big thing that's stuck on his
That's
back.
my strong leg.
But still, though, I mean, there's a lot of detail for being a tiny little guy.
See, he starts playing with toys, and I'm stuck in the basement, and I'm
yeah, but you're playing with your Star Trek models down there.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna open up an arm here. And what do we say, kids? We say, "Not my house." Who cares? All right, so we've got the shield, and this actually will stick into the arm. And this has got actually only a couple of the twist ties, and this is mostly the little plastic T-bar things.
So while he's doing this, I'm trying to figure out how this turns into a leg.
Of course it turns into a leg. Don't break it. It's brand new.
Look, the tail pushes in. Oh, I see. What's wrong here?
Give me my toy.
I don't care anymore. I don't even want to play with him.
Okay, I think I figured out how this turns into a leg.
I know it turns into a leg.
I know you know.
What do you think it turned into? A crotch piece? And all form the crotch piece.
This is the crotchal region.
I am the cod piece of justice. Oh, come on.
So is it the yellow cod piece or the black cod piece?
It's brown.
Let's hope it's not green.
Well, sometimes when it goes into battle, it turns a little red. Oh my gosh. These stupid things. I thought Mattel was bad, but Playmates.
Would you like some scissors? I have scissors in the house. Here.
Oh, I'm almost done with this one. All right. So here's green. And green, you know, it's funny because I thought, you know, blue looked smaller than red, but I feel like green and blue are about the same. They really don't feel all that different as far as, you know, the size and the power that goes into them. And you can see that there's holes on there for attaching the shield. So once it turns into Voltron and you need that piece, there it is.
That's a shin guard.
It's a butt guard. Booty guard. All right, and then the red that comes with the sword.
Oh, the most important one
right there.
It's just sad to see it all get opened up. It's like it should stay in the box. It should never come out of the box. I think he just likes the sound of it hitting the floor.
I like the sound of it hitting not my floor. Ooh, so then we've got the sword. Nifty. Give me this. Give me this.
Oh, now he wants it.
Yeah, I want it. Do you want it? Do you want it, Lion?
You like it?
Hey,
like
Lion.
It cut you free?
Come here, Lion.
Don't cut your finger.
Let me give you what you want, Lion.
How else do you do that?
Yeah. And then, oh
Come
man.
back. There you go. Dude, just cut the knot.
You can't cut the knot.
You'll break the toy. All right, and then there's red. Now you can see red, just like green, it has the joint right here in the middle. So as when it's in the arm piece, you want to be able to move it. As opposed to the leg piece.
What are you
folds
doing?
into like a
Stop throwing the stuff around, dude.
moving.
Not cool, man. Not cool. All right. All right, so here's the thing. Now we've got our black lion. So we're going to take the black lion and we're going to start folding them up. As we know, it's going to be with Voltron. Now I can see that there's a little panel here, and if I actually read the instructions, it'd probably tell me how to use it, but I've done quite a few Voltrons, so I'm pretty sure I can figure this out one way or another without hurting myself too much. Maybe like this? No? Oh. Maybe like this? No? Oh. Maybe like this. Aha, there we go. All right. So there's that one. And we're going to open this side. We got to fold it down. We got to slide it into the back here. There we go. All right. So there we have our arms back. I'll flip the, I'm going to go ahead and flip his Voltron head into place. So we've got that. So I think that's pretty well set up for doing the transformation. Let's see how you did with this. That's how you think that goes? Is that your final answer?
Yes.
No. You're close though. But
Oh, that's the foot. Okay.
yeah, see how the foot works
Oh,
there?
what? One bend. I missed one bend.
It's the crucial
And
bend.
I'm a criminal.
It's the most crucial bend of all. All right. So we're gonna take this and we're just gonna slide it into place here. And so like right here, you can see there's a little trap door, like a little poop hole.
And it's always about that poop hole. That's where you're sticking it in. But there's no, here's my question though. Okay, so once it goes in and it sticks, how do you know when it's locked into place? And is there a quick release?
It goes, oh!
Oh, is that how you know? Is that the key? So it looks like it's in there, but it's really loose. And it doesn't seem like it just gives up. I don't understand. And so it's going in. Goes like, do I have to push harder? Maybe? I'm not supposed to fold this foot some way. No. So you can see, okay, so here he is. Here's Voltron, right? And I'm going to take the foot and just slide it in, but it doesn't seem to snap into place on anything. And it's weird because I can see there's like a little nub. I don't know what's going to show up on here, but you can kind of see there's like a little nub there that sticks out. And if you look on the back hole, there's a little cutout here. So it looks like that cutout and that nub are supposed to go together, but it's just not going, that nub just isn't going into that little spot.
You're missing something.
You're missing. Ah, there you go. So you do have to push pretty hard. Did you hear that snap? I know I heard that snap. So yeah, if you push hard enough, then it'll
Well, it's kind of anime. Now that you're starting to put together, I'm like,
Now you can see it?
Yeah.
All right, so you got to flip up his little scarf there.
Yeah, like how I did it.
Fold these down. How you did nothing. Except ruin it. You made everything worse.
Good.
Including Star Trek.
Yes. I invented Discovery. I did it all.
It's your fault. It's going to go for like 8 years.
Yep.
Just to spite me because you like it.
Love it, but dirt.
I can't get this.
Sorry, I'm trying to walk in my kitchen right now, but there's all this garbage.
I can't get the feet to do anything else but fold like this. And I know that that's not right. But I can't get it to fold up or down any other way. And it almost feels like there should be another rotation right here. But if there is, it doesn't really want to. Oh, there it goes. Oh, man. If you If you really push on it, it'll move. Move forward. There we go. Oh, my gosh. So that piece does move, but you really got to force it to get it to do anything. All right. So here we've got our blue. If I can get his tail to go down. It doesn't want to go. There it goes. That's getting just hung up in there somewhere. And now, again, I'm going to have to put it in the poop hole till it hurts. Oh, my gosh. It just doesn't want to go down in there. Hey, Eris, it just doesn't want to go in that hole.
Spit on it. Just. Well, no,
Oh.
There you go.
All right. All right. So now we've got our feet in there. See that? Looking.
Well, you need to turn the arms down. You don't have them.
I don't have the actual arms in yet, but I think it's supposed to go like this with the gray.
No. I bet you have to. I bet you it connects. I'm like trying to point at it. I bet you it connects like.
Well, look. Okay, but you see, if you look, it's not an actual square.
Side. Okay.
You see that little how that there's like a little hole there
up into it, but it's like this.
Right. Just goes in. All right. So we're gonna take the red here. Now I'm wondering, on the big ones of this size, these arms actually go inside the body. it opens up on the giant size one, and they actually fold inside and disappear. So I'm wondering if this does the same. Aha! Sure enough, it opens. So I bet these go in and go back. Oh man, but again, these are really tough to move.
You gotta break it in.
I guess. I mean, I guess that's a good thing because you know
It's all loose.
Yeah, it's not going to get all loosey-goosey in the first year. It'll last a while, but boy, is it tough to twist those around.
Sure. Lower it down a little bit. We can't see what you're doing.
Well, I don't even know what I'm doing, so I don't know if it really helps if you look at it.
Yeah, because we'll be like, no, you're doing it wrong.
There we go. All right.
There we go.
So now that's hidden on the inside. And now these legs can fold up and out of the way. All right. All right. So here we have an arm, and you got to pop out his little pingy here. Look right where that's at.
It's his genitals.
It sure is. All right. So yeah, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
But there's a little. See how one side hangs down a little farther than the other? Sound familiar at your age? But just like you can see in here.
Yeah, you just see it
cut out just a little bit. Oh, and then you got to get it. You got to get to make a noise.
Always make a noise if you're going to insert it in the hole.
All right, now the mouth is spring loaded.
That's kind of cool.
So when you put the sword in there, it holds it in place. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And then now we've got to deal with this other stupid arm.
Yeah, but you know how to do it now. It should be the same, right?
It should be. Hey, there's a glass of whiskey here. When did this show up?
Weller.
Oh.
Antique 107.
Weller, like the guy who played RoboCop?
Yeah, it's Antique 107. It's the Benny's pick.
What's Benny's?
It's a liquor store.
Oh, that's good to know. All right. So we put those arms out of the way. They fold in there. Fold up these legs. And, I understand, like, I have these giant sausage fingers, and I have this tiny toy in my hand, so you're not seeing a whole lot of what's going on here. But just take my word for it. It's working. All right. So here we have an arm. And, again, we'll pop out his little piddle there. And stick it in until it snaps. Which is not what you want in real life. You don't want to stick it in until it snaps. All right, then we put the shield on, and we have a Voltron. Now, here's the weird thing, is that these like wings on the back are supposed to like stick out somehow, except they don't twist the right direction, so I'm trying to figure out how to make it work right. Because if you look, okay, you see the picture? You see how they're sticking out like that? Like at a weird, that makes like a V shape over his shoulders?
Yeah.
These don't rotate that direction. So it's like.
So it's like the artist rendition versus what it should look like.
So I can fold it up like this and kind of stick them to the side a little bit, but they don't. There's no way to make it fold
over
this way. Like I need it, they're sticking up behind them. I need it to flip around this direction, and there's no actual joint there for doing it.
So what you see in the picture is not what you get.
Yeah, it's not exactly 100% representative.
It looks.
And
pretty badass.
Yeah, there are some small differences. Like if you look at the artwork on here, you can see that his shoulders on the Black Lion are completely black, whereas they actually have some gray showing. So there's some minor cosmetic changes. These up here, these little cutout areas are supposed to be gold, just like the gold in his chest, and instead they're just kind of gray areas. So they skipped putting paint on there.
Well, I've got an airbrush down here in the basement. If you want to come down, we'll spray that on there. Maybe,
but overall, I mean, there's your die-cast Voltron, your 8-inch die-cast Voltron, and again, the die-cast is only, this chunk,
the center parts,
this part, this body part. So it's not 100% die-cast like the old Matchbox, but it gives it a good heft.
I was going to say, can you imagine how heavy that would be if it was all metal?
Well, but if you think back to the early 80s, there were 2 Voltrons on the market. One was from Matchbox.
There was the big one, the little one.
The big one was from Panache Place, and it was, like this big.
You could knock out your neighbor with that thing.
But it was all plastic.
Yeah.
And then the smaller one was all metal. And this one it's harkening back to that metal one, but it's just a little cheaper than that. But I think it still looks pretty cool.
All right, well, you better leave that here before you leave because I want to play with it later.
Nope, too bad. It's going home into my collection.
You don't like it.
One other thing, just a quick note here, is that the Red Lion, I'm just noticing it here, this is supposed to be entirely silver on his jaw. And for whatever reason, they painted it black. And that's the same on both sides. They've painted that little circle black.
I like the black.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be the same way that this is silver.
Oh my God.
The same way this is silver. Like, this is what I'm talking about, man. It's those small details you got to look for in these things, just like Star Trek.
Here's my argument. It's like when, I'm on these, scale modeling sites on Facebook, and someone will make a big deal about how, you see right here, there were only 6 windows in the original series. I only see 5 on your model. Yours isn't authentic. Okay, let me stop you right there. Okay, there is no authenticity. This is make-believe. This is not real. It's up for subject to interpretation. It doesn't have to be exactly like some episode you saw in the original series where they probably changed the models 6 times. And if you go to the Smithsonian, it's probably nothing like it was in the original season.
Well, some of us care enough to count the windows. It's a matter of how much you actually like the property, you care about the property, that you're going to bother to check the details. So the only thing that's kind of weird is that it has these big canopies. You've got this red one on the Blue Lion and this giant.
It doesn't really fit, does it? It's kind of floppy.
Well, on the cartoon, I guess it does whatever it's supposed to do. But here,
wait a minute, the blue leg, does that flip down?
What do you mean?
The bottom red part?
Yeah. When it's a lion, it flips down.
No. Okay, but now lift the head up. Leave that down and lift the head up.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
No, look at the picture on the back, and you can see.
Oh, it's all flipped up.
Yeah,
it's like walker pants with one leg pulled up a little high, with the sock tucked over it.
Wait, like gangsta? Is this some gangster?
The gangster Voltron.
Well, I in the last Voltron cartoon series, Voltron Force, the opening theme was done by a guy named Swizz Beatz. Swizz Beatz. SWIZZ. I think is how it was spelled. Swizz Beatz. So maybe they made it a little more gangsta for Swizz Beatz, just so it would make him feel more at home. But these wings are really
bugging you. Crazy, that's really bugging you.
It does. Well, because look, they look like the Enterprise, don't they?
They're nacelles.
and they should not be.
They don't bend at all?
I can bend them down.
There you go.
I can bend them, but that's not how they're supposed to go. And I can.
Well, no, can't you? No, take them down and then you can't like lift them up a little bit? Oh, yeah. No. Huh.
Yeah. They just don't.
Voltron.
Man, I'm gonna have to write a letter. I'm gonna have to write a strongly worded letter.
It's like your motto was perfect except for the wings. And because of the wings, it's crap.
I don't know. Let's see. I've got 4 of the instruction sets sitting here. I don't know what happened to the instructions for the Black Lion. I was gonna look to see if there was. That's the blue. That's the red. That's the green. Yeah, the actual instructions for the Black Lion are missing. They fell out somewhere. So I don't know if it explains like some better way that you're supposed to move these out, but yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, that's Voltron. That's the diecast Voltron. Doesn't look really all that different from the regular one that you would buy, but you know it's different because you paid more for it.
I like it.
All right, so that's going to do it for this. It is 1:16 in the morning.
Can I give one plug?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I've been wearing this shirt tonight. Shoe Farmer.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands, Old Shoe from Chicago, is doing a winter tour, and they call it Snowshoe. And usually it's a combination of several artists and the band. It's a jam band. Right now they're heading kind of the West Coast side, and then they're heading back to Illinois, and they're going to be playing several shows. Love Old Shoe. I've been seeing them for many years, and great band. I just caught them up in Bloomington. Bought the package deal, got the T-shirt, the vinyl LP of their new album, and love them to death. If you are a Deadhead or you're into the jam scene, you are going to be in love with this band. Check them out, Old Shoe. Yeah, good stuff. Very happy to see that show last Saturday, and if you get a chance, go see Old Shoe.
But if someone's into the scene, aren't they already going to know the band?
Probably.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Or maybe not. You know, I know a lot of friends that are Deadheads that never knew who Old Shoe was.
All right. All right, one last thing. I want to thank everybody who checks out the channel, watches the videos. I'm just looking at this thing on my YouTube. They have a creator studio, YouTube studio thing. In the last 28 days, you guys have watched 50,004 minutes of my videos. So I appreciate that. And 50,000 minutes is a lot of crap video on this channel that you guys are watching. So I want to thank you guys for checking that out, including some old episodes of Comiholics that are on here. We do have a URL. We have Comiholics.com, but we recently redid the Pop Culture Network site, and I don't remember if I updated Comiholics to go to the new site or not.
Well, I think one thing that we're going to try to do with this show is mix it up where it's not just about comics. You know, it's more about pop culture, and whether it's, you know, crazy beers like Friday the 13th. It's pretty good overall, right? You drink a bottle. Or TV shows, comic books, you name it. If basically just whatever we feel like talking about, we're going to kind of open it up a little bit, you know, and where it goes.
Right. So like tonight's episode, we got a toy, we got a comic, we got a TV show. I like the idea of mixing it up so it's not specifically just one thing, so we can cover some extra stuff. So if there's something that you guys would like to see us talk about, like we may go back and read some old comic stories. We might watch an old movie or an old TV show to talk about on here.
We might watch some episodes of Black Mirror or something, talk about those on here. So if there's something that you'd want to see covered, you can email me, dirt@popculturenetwork.com, or you can find me on Twitter @PCN_dirt, or just come to popculturenetwork.com and click on one of the contact links. And you can always leave us some information there. But if there's something that you'd like to get our views on, if you've got something you want us to review, you can always submit review copies of stuff for us to check out. So, yeah, we're going to be covering that. That's why I called this episode was actually PCN Live featuring Comiholics. So it was us, the hosts from the old Comiholics show, but it's Pop Culture Network Live. We're going to be taking a look at whatever that fits under that umbrella. So that's going to do it for me. Do you have any last shout outs or anything you want to say, Apocalypse, before we call it a night?
Well, I just want to say that some things I have in mind. I'm a big fan of anthology shows lately, kind of like the beginning, middle, end, singular episodes that kind of don't really carry over. So I've been watching things like Electric Dreams, Black Mirror, and kind of actually I've been watching some old stuff like old school Twilight Zone and things like that. And I'd really like your opinions about like some of those shows that have been coming out lately. Drop us a line, let me know what you think, and we'll kind of mold our shows around what you like to hear about and what you like to think what we think about it, as well as just crap we like to throw up there like Voltron and him making a bunch of garbage in my kitchen.
I like the garbage in your kitchen. I think that needs to be like an ongoing, part of every episode from now on. I think.
Well, here's the thing, like I'm a big beer enthusiast, and and you're a big liquor enthusiast. So we might do some reviews on spirits and beer and wine and things like that as well. I mean, we don't have to limit it. I think that's what we've decided to do is kind of break free from the mold of nothing but comic books. So it's a pop culture world, and we're living in it, and we just want to share it with the world. So let us know what you think.
All right, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you go to popculturenetwork.com, check out the rest of the great stuff we have. That's going to do it for us, and I'll see you next time.